make sure this is ready at all costs.
You will have an insurmountable problem. Guess what? Every single person at that company was completely aligned with their strategic goals. The problem was actually below that. The problem was
a few years ago, we got called in to work with a client in the apparel industry. They were selling clothes and different items in the market, and they were really a heavy web-based sales. They didn't have any brick and mortar stores. They did everything online. And one of their goals was, prior to Black Friday, they wanted to have an updated website so people could buy all these cool items they had for sale, and they're in a bit of a time crunch. So the guidance for their teams, they had a sales team, was build ads, get the product ready to go, tell everybody what it is that was going to be out there for sale, and they had a technology team that was building the website. The guidance for the technology team was, this has to be ready before Black Friday. And of course, that makes sense in terms of making sure this is ready to go for the big sale. And of course, the sales team had guidance, was make sure all the product's ready to go and they had everything they needed. Well, the IT department took that as, make sure this is ready at all costs. And in their mind was, this website has to be ready to go by Black Friday. And it was. The only problem was, and why they called us in after the fact was, as soon as the Black Friday sale started, the entire website crashed. And they had an absolutely disastrous weekend. And one of the things that came out of that was this concept of alignment. In their mind, in the technology department's mind, is no matter what they did, the website had to be ready to go for Friday. And it was. The problem was, they had taken a lot of shortcuts, they had skipped a lot of things inside their code, they had not gotten aligned with the rest of the organization, and the things they did to get it ready actually created a bigger problem in the long run than had they just said, we will not make it. Our current website is good enough. It's not ideal, but it's not going to crash on us. And we're going to have a little bit of a dip in sales, but we'll be ready for the big holiday season. And one of the problems that we discovered when we came in there was their different teams were not aligned on the overall outcome that was best for the company. And we see things like this all the time.
And what's interesting is, at Echelon Front, for a few years, we rarely talked about being aligned. We rarely talked with other companies about their alignment. And the reason for that is, ultimately, just about every company that we work with is aligned. Even this apparel company. It wasn't that they were totally out of alignment on their overall goals. Guess what? Every single person at that company was completely aligned with their strategic goals. They wanted to make a lot of product. They wanted to sell a lot of product on that website on Black Friday. Everybody knew it. Everyone was aligned. So the problem wasn't the overall strategic alignment. The problem was actually below that. The problem was with the various agendas and making sure that everyone understood what outcomes were going to be reached and what outcomes could not be reached in the appropriate amount of time. So what we figured out, as we've worked with so many different companies, is most companies are aligned at the highest level, at the most strategic goals. Just about every company in the entire world wants to take care of their team, wants to take care of their customers, wants to create a good product, and wants to make money. Just about every company in the world. I'm sure you'd literally have to go to a nonprofit, but even a nonprofit wants to take care of their people, wants to take care of their customer. They might not want to make profit, but they at least have to be able to sustain their existence. So alignment at the strategic level, of course, it is critical. If we don't have that alignment at a strategic level, you will have an insurmountable problem. It's an insurmountable problem. If Dave and I have different strategic goals, we are going to not be able to work together. So if Dave and I are at an apparel company and I want to make the cheapest clothing with the worst materials and sell them wherever I can, and Dave's idea is to make the highest quality and charge a premium price, and now we're constantly bickering because we're trying to go to two different places. We actually have to be strategically aligned towards the same goals. And this is something that we understand. But very rarely do we have to address that with a company. Very rarely do we find companies that aren't strategically aligned. So a lot of people think they have problems with alignment. Well, I'm not aligned with that other department. I'm not aligned with that other division. They've got a competing agenda than we have. And that can cause friction and that can cause problems. But what we found is, while most companies are aligned at the strategic level, where they differ and where they compete against each other is at lower levels of alignment. The various agendas that different departments, different people, different divisions inside the same organization can have. And those can create friction. And if it's not dealt with, it can actually create problems that do not need to be problems.
Yeah, and the largest program we have at Echelon Front when we work and train with clients is something we call the LDAP program. That stands for Leadership Development and Alignment Program. And it's designed to do exactly what you just said. Is it from the very, very highest levels in an organization when they're looking at the vision of what this company wants to be and the strategy to achieve it, and ensuring that they understand that they are aligned down to the lowest level in the organization to individual teams, key performance indicators and metrics, and from the top to the very bottom, from the front lines to the most senior executive, is that they understand that that alignment is there so they can be successful.